Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Film Me In podcast, where, funnily enough, this week, I will be hosting it. Because Xander is on leave. He's on his little vacation. He needed to
Make
take
it
his...
sound like he's died.
He needed to take his
Xander
mandated
died.
holiday days this week. So he's off doing whatever it is Xander likes
He's
to
off
do.
canoodling.
So instead, I am joined by Joe,
Hello.
Suan,
Hello.
and unfortunately, Hamish.
Hi.
Ooh.
So that's the lineup we have for this week. Apologies to anybody who, who's Xander is their favourite character. He's not.
People
gonna be
only
here.
tune in for Xander.
People
They
only
really
tune in for
do.
Xander. They're not here for the rest of us.
He is such a little bright spark of energy, isn't he?
He's a
Yeah,
little
I
bundle
love
of
it.
sunshine, and we love him. We'll give him a
He
little kiss on
is.
his noggin whenever I see him.
Hi, Xander, when you're listening to this.
I love you,
hello.
Xander.
Love you, Xander. See, we're doing you proud.
miss
We're doing
you.
proud. Anyway, so this week we are going to be talking about the newest installment of the Indiana Jones franchise, The Dial of Destiny.
Whoop whoop.
What a terrible title.
Well, we'll get into that and how wrong you are in a minute.
Whoa.
I think
We will.
The Dawn of Destiny.
It's just not.
actually, Archimedes couldn't have made that. What we'll do first is Moan of the Week. Who has one?
I think I do.
Go on, Joe. Give me your you think Moan of the Week.
Trailers are too long nowadays. Like, I remember a time, when I was a wee baby, when they used to be like a minute and a half to 2 minutes, which is a great length for film. It's sort of also like how the perfect length for a film is between an hour and a half and 2 hours. But like, I was in the cinema. We're about to watch Indiana Jones, and the Mission Impossible trailer played, and it seems like it should have ended a lot earlier. Like, okay, it's ended. Oh wait, you've got the names of the actors and more footage. Like, trailers don't need to be that long. Don't show the whole film.
I really agree with you on that one. I again, specifically with the Mission Impossible one as well.
Yeah.
At each kind of point, I was like, okay, so that's the end of the trailer.
Oh,
It
there's
keeps
more.
going. It keeps going.
Also, the what's it called? The Gran Turismo trailer. I mean,
Oh
that film
my
looks like
God.
trash, but I know the whole plot of that film now. That looks
Yeah, because they
awful.
reveal in the trailer that he's gonna get through.
He gets
and it's
chosen.
like-
They really shouldn't
someone
have done
crashes. It's all there.
That is actually my moan for the week. That movie.
Yeah. Well, go on then. Carry it on then.
Who the hell wants to go see this movie?
It looks awful.
I think all cinema is art in its own way. As much as I look at something and I go,
Apart from this,
it's art in quotation marks, and I go, I never want to look at it ever again. I'm sure the people that worked on it worked really hard, and hats off to them. It looks like they've made a really highly produced movie. But there are bits of it whenever, like, it looks like Mark Zuckerberg's metaverse whenever he sits down in the chair and, like, the game folds
gamer
around him.
HUD. The gamer
Yeah, the
HUD,
gamer
like,
HUD.
appears.
Yeah, it's like the autism HUD in, like,
The
the
Good
good
Doctor.
doctor. I can tell you now the plot of the movie is that he gets through, because they fucking showed that. He gets through, and then he's like, he gets given a racetrack, and he's not doing too good. And he's like, wait a minute, I've raced this track hundreds of times on my PlayStation 5 for improved performance, because it's a movie by Sony, and it's going to be packed full of Sony products. It just looks miserable. The guy from bloody Stranger Things, what's his name?
David Harbour.
David Harbour.
He is cast to play asshole of the movie. That is his character from what I can see. There is no depth to that character.
do you
There is
remember-
asshole.
Do you remember there was an interview for when Loki came out? It was with Owen Wilson, and they'd cut out each individual word and formed a new sentence.
Yeah.
This is what the trailer is like, because the words don't go with each other. It's just like they're different tones.
Yeah.
It
just
doesn't
looks
make sense.
Who sat there and was like,
Oh, this is gonna be
I
great.
really think we need a Gran Turismo movie. I really also think it should be about some spindly little fucker who gets on some sort of Sony I'm a gamer, and because I'm a gamer, I can do it in real life.
I have enhanced reflexes because I'm a gamer.
Oh my god, yeah.
My
Anyway,
reaction
please.
time is tenfold yours.
Yeah, this episode will turn into me ranting about that, so someone please take
I
over.
will just say as a final note, it's basically this plot happens so much of like, oh, the dad wants them to work in the factory, and it just reminds me of Eddie the Eagle.
Oh
my
god.
You know, make them work in
This
the
is the
factory,
Eddie
and
the
then they go
Eagle
off,
of
and then they
cars.
fail, and then they come back.
I enjoyed Eddie the
Oh no, I
Eagle.
like Eddie the Eagle, but you do not copy Eddie the Eagle and make Gran Turismo. Just play the game. Just do that.
Just play the
Well, no,
fucking
it's based
game
on a
and
real
just accept
story.
that you belong inside. Anyway, continue.
Swan, do you have a
Swan?
moan?
My moan
Given that-
is technically very, very recent, but it's Elon Musk's new tweet about
God.
what the fuck he's doing with Twitter. Basically, my entire day, I've tried to reload Twitter and I'm getting this message saying rate limit exceeded. I'm like, okay. And now there was a sprint race today, right? And I quite like seeing what everybody else tweets about F1 while the race is going. I couldn't because this thing came on. And then he's tweeted, apparently, if you're fucking buying his little subscription, you get to see 6,000 tweets a day. If you're just a normal little person like me, I get 600. And if you're new, you get 300. But I don't know how, between the time of 11 a.m. this morning, cleaning the whole house, and 3:30, that I exceeded 600 posts. So I haven't been able to see my entire Twitter today, and I've been bored shitless.
Wait, has he capped the amount of
He's
tweets you
capped
can see
it.
a day?
That-
That
gonna
is
see
so
600 a day.
stupid.
So now if you pay for it, you get 6,000. Don't know who the fuck's going to reach 6,000 a day. You need a life if you need that. But, whatever.
Oh my god.
So, because of my thing, I've not been able to see a single hashtag today. I've just been able to see my, For You bits, and half of that's been capped.
That is
I have
so
been bored.
ridiculous. You have to pay. It's like £8 something per month, isn't it?
Exactly. He's ruining
man-
Twitter.
That's
My man
hard
has
to
just
ruin
killed
Twitter.
Twitter. He's just killed Twitter.
That is so
Ooh,
hard
that's
to
where I've got
ruin
the most
Twitter as well.
followers.
'Cause Twitter's such a cesspit. So that's really
he's
hard
there,
to ruin Twitter.
And he's
By the way,
gone
go
and said,
follow us on Twitter.
Go follow us.
at the
Yeah.
Filming
Follow the
Podcast.
podcast on.
Yeah,
you
make
might not
sure
see
you
our
look at it.
tweets, but follow us.
Yeah, you won't
Always
see
read
it
our
now.
tweets in the morning, because otherwise you're just not going to see them.
That's when we need to tweet now. We'll tweet it like 8 a.m. so that people see it straight away.
Yeah, I've just realized though, if you accidentally refresh your page, it floods it all in, so that technically counts as you seeing a
Exactly.
tweet.
And I don't know what counts as reading a tweet, because if you scroll, technically you see them all, but I'm not going to stop and read every one of them. It
Oh,
doesn't
that's
make sense.
bad.
I don't think
Must.
he probably
What do you
hasn't even thought that far ahead. He probably hasn't even thought about what constitutes as reading a tweet because you know,
Exactly.
Well, I don't
he always
think
makes
has a
these
brain,
half-assed
so-
ideas.
I'm of the belief that because the Italian government have reached out to Musk about his fight with Mark Zuckerberg.
Is that real?
I
No,
hope
it is.
so.
It is. It is. So they made a joke about fighting each other in a cage match, and Mark Zuckerberg responded with, "Sure, I'm down. Name a place and a time." And the Italian government have reached out to them saying, "We would love it to happen in the Colosseum." You know, like the
Gladiator.
Colosseum. That it is official statement from the Italian government. No word has been made from Musk or Zuckerberg on if it's going to happen in the Colosseum. But I mean, I think if it should happen, they should be honoring the original rules of the Colosseum.
What, and do it naked?
And there should be one survivor.
Oh.
And they should be dressed in gladiator uniforms. And then to spice up the fight, we release a naked, lathered in oil, Jeff Bezos, because the man is like a ripped tank. He's like the lion they release.
I want them to shout, "Are you entertained?" And I'll just be like, "No, no."
But you know, right? You know, if Mark loses, he's gonna just go back to like his metaverse and be like, "Oh, that was fun. I enjoyed it. We did something that was like fun." But you know that if Elon loses, he's gonna have such a tantrum on Twitter.
Yeah.
I don't know. I won't see.
Well, you won't see.
I'm not going to be able to see it.
No one's gonna see it now.
My tweets are capped. I can't see your tweet.
If Zuckerberg loses, he's going to go back into the metaverse, program an AI of Elon that will give him a run for the money in his Colosseum metaverse, but he will always be able to beat him. Something will happen. It can feed his ego.
Do you remember how in Rocky 4, Rocky single-handedly ended the Cold War at the end? I feel like with this
Sort of. It's
with
really
this fight-
like it's. It looks
feel-
like it does. Sorry, Joe.
I feel like with this fight they're going to start a whole new war. They're not going to end the war. War is coming, and it's because of these
It'll be
nutties.
between the metaverse bros and the crypto bros.
Does
It'll
that
be
mean we
between
get a
those two.
sequel to Social Network though? Because I'd like to.
Jesus Christ!
Who'd play
Oh my
Elon?
god.
Who'd play Elon?
Find some swollen man.
I could find a rat probably.
What I want as a final note,
Taxidermy
'cause we're getting sidetracked,
animals.
is when like all the YouTuber fights, like how they do like training montage videos, like all these like pumped up. I want to see little tiny Mark Zuckerberg like lifting a fucking like tree log as like some sort of dubstep plays in the background.
All of his training footage will be of him in the metaverse, just lifting like these imaginary weights. It's just this
Yeah.
animated Mark Zuckerberg.
I would love that. Okay, well that's that was a good interest. This is a good start, I think. To
Amazing.
yeah.
This is what happens, Xander, when you're not here.
This is
Alex,
what
what's your
happens, yeah,
moan?
We just start bitching about.
Yeah, what's your
Twitter.
moan, Alex?
Oh yeah.
God. Can I only pick one?
Landlord.
The housing market, I think. Just the fact that in order to get a 1-bedroom flat, at least where we are, you have to earn about 30,000 a year. And the referencing criteria and all this kind of stuff is so incredibly strict that they can get you on anything. You know, you get to the end of it and you're like, do you actually want me to live here? You can say no. I'm not you can say no. But yeah, I think that would be it. Just the housing market in general. Love the UK. Big whoop. Don't want to be anywhere else. So yeah, I still think we should turn Buckingham Palace into a big Airbnb, but that's
Yes.
just me.
I say it's the spoons.
The world's biggest spoons.
Oh,
I saw
yeah.
somebody said the world's
You'd have to
biggest
go to the other
Wagamamas.
side of the palace for the bathroom.
Either a big spoons, a big wine mark, sorry.
Polish corner shop. There we go. Staple.
A big corner shop, big off license.
I was thinking of Big Tesco.
or big Tesco.
Big Greg's. What about Big Greg's?
Oh, Big Greg's with giant sausage rolls.
Big Greg's.
And then a whack off
This is-
Primark on the end.
Yeah, you need the Primark.
This is.
Yeah.
Oh wait, I was about to dox us, but this is basically the place near us, isn't it?
Oh yeah, it is. Yeah, where he's
Oh,
got the
no,
dock
it
off.
is.
He's got the dock off Primani at the end.
Yeah.
So that's good. Anyway, let's get back to the. You know,
Podcast that had.
we can't turn back time. I was trying to do a Xander there, but I can't do the
Can
funny
I?
things that Xander does. What? Go on then.
We can't quite turn back time when it comes to the royal family because there's been a lot of mistakes made. But what we can turn back time is using the Dial of Destiny.
Beautiful.
When done correctly. So,
When done correctly.
this is the 5th Indiana Jones film, with the first one coming out back in, the 80s, 81. And I think that this is the only one that's not directed by Spielberg. Yeah, it's not.
It's not. He's a producer.
He is a producer on this, yes, but this is actually directed by James Mangold. And he's done a lot of good films. He did Logan. So
Unite the museum.
I'm not too sure. Let me double check. I know that he.
Because I
definitely...
keep telling people that he's done Night at the Museum, and now I'm not so sure.
Night at the Museum is not here.
Who the
What?
fuck are you thinking of, Joe?
He
Who
did
directed Night at the
Logan.
Museum?
He did the Wolverine. And he did the new. I don't know. If, you probably haven't seen it, but the Ford versus Ferrari film.
Oh,
He
that
also
was
did
That's a
that.
decent film.
Oh, was
was
it? I
good.
haven't seen it.
That's a
so I
decent
can't-
film.
Joe,
It's no
Never
Gran
mind.
Turismo though, so
Joe, there's two Night at the Museum directors, Matt Danner and Sean Levy.
Sean
Not James
Levy,
Mangold.
that's
Oh, yeah.
the one. Oh, I'm getting
You
confused.
think it's James Mangold?
Yeah, so unfortunately he directed this and he did Logan, but he didn't do Night at the Museum. So anyway, that's the end of the podcast, fellas. 0 out of 10.
How dare he?
On to the
Goodbye,
next
everyone.
one. It came out as of time of recording on the Wednesday, 28th, and it's not had the best of reviews so far.
It's got a lot
Which
of
is,
flack.
I don't know. For some people that will make sense. For other people, we disagree. But we'll get into that in a bit.
Well, it came
We,
out
you say.
at the Cannes Film Festival. Like it released early, so there was a lot of time between like the full-on release that there was the like the odd reviews of it's not the best. It's a bit average for the last Indiana Jones film.
Well,
Have they confirmed it to be the last Indiana Jones film?
Oh, they're not bringing his corpse in the next one, are
I
they?
really hope they're
So
not.
no.
Harrison
So,
in a wheelchair.
Yeah.
okay, so I have two things to say for this. First of all, this Harrison Ford has confirmed this is the last time he's playing Indiana Jones, and that Indiana Jones will always be Harrison Ford.
Of course
They're
it
not
will.
going to recast.
They're not bringing Chris Pratt
However,
in for the prequel
no.
series. Okay.
I don't know where that's come from. Chris Pratt has confirmed that
But
there's been no
quote.
talk.
There was a quote. I don't know if it was real, but it was like Harrison Ford saying, "I would rather die than Chris Pratt play Indiana Jones."
Yeah,
I
it
love
sounds
Harrison
about right.
Ford. I love him so much.
Then there's Harrison Ford is very much aware that Disney is currently in talks of TV series that spin off from the Indiana Jones universe. That is in talks. However, Indiana Jones will always be Harrison Ford, and that is his last time playing it. Side note, what you had said about film festivals and such. This movie has been in production hell, no thanks to COVID. However, it has also been in writing hell. This movie has received, I believe, 4 or 5 rewrites.
That's 2 weeks in a row now, isn't it?
Yeah, all of these rewrites have mostly leaked online. Back even when the movie was in concept art stage. A load of this leaked years and years ago, and a lot of it wasn't great. Some of the rewrites really left a sour taste in a lot of YouTube reviewers' mouths, and myself included as well. It was pretty morbid what I read, which we'll get into in the non-spoiler section, in the spoiler section. But this, yeah, I'm very glad we got what we got, how we got it.
Yeah. So to talk about it, like we'll start off like with non-spoiler talk. The cast is quite good. It's a very good lineup, I think, at least. You know, we've obviously got Indy. The main villain is played by Mads Mikkelsen, who is an incredible actor. End of. You've also got Boyd Holbrook, who was
my beloved.
he was the villain in Logan, and most recently as well in Sandman, the Netflix TV show. He played a really good role in that. And Harrison Ford's new sidekick is Phoebe Waller-Bridge, who I was quite shocked by the choice when I first heard about it. What about you guys?
I've only seen her in Fleabag, and then she voices in Solo, so I knew her more for comedy. But she co-write No Time to Die as well.
She's co-writing a lot of things actually these days.
She is a big writer, I do know that. I'm not sure if she did do No Time to Die. She
'Cause
co-wrote Killing Eve, or at least was like
Yeah.
a main big part of Killing Eve, which is good. She did? Yeah, no, you are correct, she did.
But I quite liked her in the film. There are bits where she can be a bit annoying, I think. But I think it's understandable why she's there when you've got Harrison Ford, who's older and can't do a lot of the stunts, so they bring in a new character who can do more of those stunts. Yeah, I thought she was all right.
Okay, for those who have been watching like non-spoiler reviews and just people ranting on YouTube or on Twitter for that matter, if your exceeded tweets will allow you, she is not a Rey style character. I've seen a lot of people say that. She's a Rey, she's a Mary Sue that comes in and can do everything that the original can do, but better. And she's a woman. God forbid. However, she's not.
She's got her flaws. There's a reason
she's
she
got
goes
her-
to
she-
Indy, you know, in the film at least.
Yeah, she's got her flaws. She has a character arc, albeit not a very in-depth character arc, but a character arc all the same. Like, no movie's perfect, no character is perfect.
Fantastic, Mr. Fox.
Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Last Crusade. I'm not sure she deserves all the flack she's getting.
I think people
For the
just
sake
hate women. That's the problem.
This is true, especially Twitter.
I don't hate women by any regard, good lord.
There's not a but. Why is there a but to this, Hamish?
No.
I don't hate women,
There's a lot-
but...
Okay. So there's a lot of these arguments that always spawn from Star Wars and Rey taking over the reins from Luke. And I completely agree that I don't like Rey as a character. I think Rey is a little one-dimensional. But that's my opinion. That's fine.
I don't agree with that.
I
You're
don't
wrong.
hate her because she has a vagina.
Hey,
Which a lot of people do. But it's very unfortunately, Indiana Jones is getting hit by the same group of people that have grown up watching Star Wars and have thus grown up watching Indiana Jones. And they're like, a woman is coming in and taking over our movie, our franchise. Oh, my tiny penis is emasculated. Like...
the interesting thing about it as well is that because like they're all now kicking off about like even the hint that a woman could be taking over the role of Indiana Jones or all this kind of stuff, most of the companions that Indy has had throughout all of his other 4 films have been women. You know, there's the only difference here is that this woman is a little more capable than say
She's not a love interest.
and she's not a love interest. Exactly. That's really the only major difference here. You know, nobody kicked off when Mutt was in Indiana Jones 4. Nobody was turning around saying...
I forgot that was his name for
Yeah,
a
that's his
sec.
name,
So I was
yeah.
very confused
Shia
when you just
LaBeouf.
said
Running
Mutt.
for your life,
yeah.
Shia LaBeouf.
Shia LaBeouf. A lot of people just call him Shia. I'm surprised I even remembered his name was Mutt, to be honest. You know, nobody was kicking off when Mutt came into the picture, being like, oh, he's going to be taking over the role of Indiana Jones, and he's doing too much, and all this kind of stuff. It only really ever happened when there was a female character who wasn't a love interest. So no, you're completely right about that, Swan. You know, it's because she is a love interest. Is she not?
She's not. Yeah, she's definitely not a love
No,
interest.
definitely not.
But like, I love Harrison as the next person. I've grown up with him, you know. But like,
Did you?
he
What school?
is now.
The same school?
What? No, fuck off. You know what I mean?
Wait, how old are you,
it-
Suan?
Fuck off.
Sorry, I'll let you say your
Yes,
point.
please dox your age to the internet while you're at it.
Tell
please.
us.
Harrison, like, he is now sadly of the age where you don't expect the man to jump off of a train every now and again for a film. For God's sakes. Do they not want the man to stick around for a bit? You have to, like, think, if you want more Indiana Jones, fine. Harrison isn't going to be around for much longer, sorry to say. Like, I hope he's around for as long as he can be, but, like, he is almost, I don't know if he's 80 yet, but, like, be for real here. What do you expect him to do?
Yeah, he is 80, yeah.
They could push. They
80.
could have like a wheelchair chase in like a care
A
home.
wheelchair chase through the retirement home.
I don't know why they're complaining. Oh, a woman's taking over. What do you want Harrison to do? Honestly.
I mean, they could
Yeah.
de-age him, which brings us on to. That's not spoilery. It's in the trailer. What did
It
you
is in the
think
trailer.
of
The
de-aging?
de-aging of. I thought they did it quite well, at least. I didn't really have an issue with it. It's not as bad as some of the de-aging attempts that we've seen in the past few years.
Like, yeah, there was one or two bits where you're like, oh, yeah, you can tell it's the aging, but it's as good, it's as good as you can get.
Yeah, it's not as bad as. I remember the one that really stuck out for me was Luke in Mando.
Season 2.
Yeah, that one really stuck
Yeah.
out for me.
I think some people said that maybe the voice was a bit too old for.
But it's
Like,
Harrison.
maybe should have de-aged the voice somehow, but then that would have gone into AI voice replication
Yeah.
territory. And we
I
don't
thought
like
the
that.
voice was quite good. I obviously noticed as well that like, oh, he's not as young and chipper as he used to be. But
I don't think chip is a word
chip
to describe
chip is not the
Harrison
word to
Ford.
describe Harrison Ford. But you get what I mean.
Harrison Smord.
Yeah, Harrison Schmord. But I was still happy with the outcome, at least. It's still Indiana Jones being done with life and just wanting to go home and have a cup of tea and not be shot. So
I'd rather have cranky old Harrison Ford's voice than an AI.
very true. Overall, what would you guys say you thought of the film? If you could sum it up in a non-spoilery kind of
Out of 10.
at 10, even just give me your thoughts on it.
I think I gave it a 6.
Okay.
It's not that it's bad, it's just mid.
Mid. I've heard a lot of people say that it's mid.
Mid Jones.
I would agree. 6 out of 10 for a film that has lots of action. I kind of wanted it to all be over.
Really?
Like there were everything was happening, and a lot of scenes there was a lot of happening, and I'm still just like, okay, I am actually quite bored, and I've never done that in a cinema before.
Like, I was moving a lot in my seat. I was like, okay, I've got to find something to do now because this film isn't entertaining to like hold my attention.
So I will agree. I do. I rate this film very highly. I rate it like an 8 and 8.5. But this is the only film in some time that I've gone to go to the toilet in the middle of.
Ooh.
I had an entire bottle of Fanta in the first hour of The Batman, my second screening, and I held it in through the rest of the film. Because I was like, I've already seen this film, but I don't want to get up and rest it and go and like miss a bit. But no, I did get up at one point in this film. But I know I enjoyed it. It's honestly like in my top 3 favorite Indiana Jones films.
I want to give it a healthy. I want to say a 7 or an 8. I think it was really enjoyable. And you know what? I'm going to say an 8. I think that there's some bits of it that I agree were too long and can be cut back. However, I think at the same time we've got to measure up that they're trying to recreate the gold that is the original Indiana Jones series. And it's not going to happen. It's just not. But you can appreciate what we got, which is a damn good story. And to quote Harrison Ford, a movie that has a whole lot of heart in it. What was that?
He's disagreeing with your statement of it having heart.
I'm just going, yeah. But the thing, like, I read a Letterboxd review and I completely agree with it in that it feels like Indiana Jones is in the way in this film.
I mean, again,
Here comes old man McGuckin with his little whip.
You know,
he is old. He is old.
I'm not being ageist, by the way. I just think that, you know,
it is hard to make an Indiana Jones movie with an 80-year-old Harrison Ford.
I think that's the big like thing we need to remember when talking about this film is that the man is 80.
And for a film that's sort of promised to like explore, you know, getting old, and that's what he kept saying in the interviews, I don't think they leaned into that enough.
Yeah,
I would have preferred that than trying to make him do action when, you know.
I don't doubt that the plot is in any way like golden, but I do think that it's not this like disgraceful outing for Indiana Jones that people are making it out.
Oh no,
to
it's
be.
not terrible.
No.
Oh gosh, no.
No, it's not by any regard. I think for an Indiana Jones, I do think nowadays our standards for movies has gotten so incredibly high. And that is, you know, we've had such amazing productions, but like, how often do you get an Indiana Jones movie? I think when did the last one come out?
2008.
2008.
Oh, that was when wasn't it when there was the money crisis in the world, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, the money crisis.
I don't know what it's called.
You know that?
Because Russell T Davies
2008
always says that's
recession.
when the world went to shit. Yeah.
Yeah, the 2008 recession.
And I'm just surprised. How does Joe know that?
I am actually
I
quite
wanna know
surprised
how
by
my
that as
parents
well.
managed to afford Indiana Jones Lego for me then, which by the way has made a comeback. Big hype.
I know. Are they going to do any sets for this film?
Yes, I believe they are.
I think so, because I remember when we were watching it in cinema, I leaned over to Hamish and said that would make a really good Lego level.
Yeah,
Which I will,
like,
I will say specifically in the spoiler section. Which
Wait,
If
no,
you've
I
ever-
thought about a bit being really good for the Lego. I really hope it's the same one now.
yeah.
yeah. If you've ever played the Lego games, whilst you're watching this, just try and imagine the levels as the scenes play by, and like the little like silent motions they
works.
make.
No, like as much as I think the film is mid, this would be a great for a Lego game because there are so many set pieces you could base levels around. Maybe that's why the film was made because TT Games were like, we want to make another Indiana Jones video game, but we cannot just go back and do the originals.
As they should.
So they're gonna like with the Force Awakens, how they did a game for just that film on its own. You could do it with this.
If you haven't seen it already, please do go see it. Because they are pulling films out of theaters now so quickly. The Flash is about to leave 1,500 cinemas over the US specifically soon. So, you kind of got to see films as soon as possible now. But do go see it. Go and support it. I think it deserves a little bit of love at least. I think we can all agree. So,
Yes.
yeah.
If it was on BBC One, when they show a lot of the Indiana Jones films, I'd happily watch it.
I thought they showed them on ITV too.
New.
Oh.
Actually,
ITV's got
I don't know.
the
I
math
haven't
film.
watched it in years. Oh yeah. I know because you get Nanny McPhee at the weekends and Despicable
you?
Me.
I
Those
have
are always
the
on.
urge to rewatch the Indiana Jones movies again, and to go back and rewatch the hit series that no one knows about, Young Indiana Jones, where he joins the IRA.
He does do
What?
that, yeah.
They did a
does.
Yeah.
series?
Yeah.
There's a TV series that few people know about called Young Indiana Jones, where Harrison Ford makes a single cameo in it.
Oh,
But
fucking hell.
it tells the story of Indiana Jones in his 20s and teen years growing up. Some of it is downright horrific. He's there at the Battle of the Somme and they show a gas attack happen, and he joins the Irish in the Easter Rising, which all the guys who took part in the Easter Rising were part of the IRA. So Indiana Jones is canonically part of the IRA. My favorite little note about
not-
Well, we love to hear it. We love to see it. But yeah, go see the film. Go see the film. Watch Young Indy, I guess, if you want to now, and see Indiana Jones being a part of the IRA, if that's your cup of tea. If not, understandable. Crack on with your day. We're gonna hop into the spoiler sections here. So
Oh, we need Xander's
Ciao.
spoiler.
I was about to ask his little
a little spoiler alert that is going to happen.
Should we give it a countdown?
yeah.
Oh, let's give a countdown.
Yeah.
On the count of 3.
3,
3,
2,
2,
1.
9.
Spoilers. Spoilers.
Ooh, that was good, wasn't it?
I
That
missed
was it.
that.
Wow,
Yeah.
so highly produced.
I
Thank you,
missed
Joe,
that
for
one.
editing that in.
I think the best part to start off with when talking spoiler-wise about the film is just to quickly give a rundown of its plot and its premise. So,
Yeah.
Indy's retiring. He's tired. He's old. He's going through a divorce. We learn that Mutt died in the war.
Oh, man.
Someone, Shia LaBeouf died in the war.
What a shame.
And, he's not having a good time.
Is that what we're calling it? It's not a great time.
Well, I don't know what else. It's not going to
Could
be
be better,
swell,
you
is
know.
it?
I don't know. But it's really depressing. He wakes up in a chair drunk in his underwear, and you're like, he's not having a great time.
But
so
we
he's
do
not.
see Grandad Bob. Bob? What's it called? Bod. Not Bob.
Bod.
We see his bod. He looks pretty good for an 8-year-old.
Yeah,
Simon fancied him as well.
No!
He told me.
I don't blame her.
When we got at the
I mean,
screening,
yeah,
she
for
was
an
like 4.
80-year-old. For an
Anyway.
80-year-old. Give him credit.
His goddaughter, Helena Shaw, finds him and visits him and asks him about the Dial of Destiny. The Archimedes' first kind of big invention way back in day. And the premise follows them being hunted by an old Nazi general and his ragtag crew of Americans, white supremacists, who don't want to exist in a modern America because he got called a cracker once. As they journey across the world to find the other half of the dial, piece it back together, and travel back in time to basically
Hitler.
ensure that the Nazis win by him
By
killing
killing
Hitler,
Hitler.
and him
is
killing Hitler and taking
Doctor
Hitler's
Who,
place.
Series 6, Episode 8. Let's kill Hitler.
I hate you. So that's the premise of the film. We have a lot of old characters in it, which is wonderful, but then we have some new characters. Most importantly, Helena Shaw, as well as her companion, Teddy, who I thought was perfect and such a throwback to Short Round.
He's
Short
no
Round
short
rip-off.
round.
He
Short
is no
Round
Short
rip-off.
Round. Short Round will always be superior, but it was a lovely little throwback, and it made me feel like I was watching Short Round again. So it's a good film that sees us go across, most of the Mediterranean, across Greece, as well as, across time, which I thought was very fun. So who wants to start? Joe, crack on.
This is a small detail, but something that was nice about, I can't remember the first film, but the second, third, and fourth film is that it start with I think it was the Paramount logo. It was a mountain, and then that would transition into the first shot of the film. We didn't get that with this one because it's not Paramount, but I think the Lucasfilm logo did sort of blend into like the lock
Yes.
that was opened, which was a nice detail.
At least they were carrying on the
The
attempt,
tradition,
I guess, at that.
I did like the train sequence at the beginning.
The
I
train
really
scene
liked
was
it.
wonderful. I thought it was
Yeah,
very
and
good.
he was good. Toby Jones was great. I wish he might actually
love
been in a
Toby
bit
Jones.
longer, because I liked his character. But that entire sequence, it did feel like an old Indiana Jones with that sequence.
Especially when Basil shot him.
Yeah, it was. I really liked that bit. It was. I don't know about you, but that's the bit where I thought it was Lego.
I can see it. That's not the bit that I
I
thought.
can see it.
It was the bit.
It
You
was
said
a
it was the
spec-
bit with the gun, wasn't
Yeah,
it?
specifically with the gun. I'm just there like, this is Lego. This is a
The
Lego
little
game.
Lego face being like, "Excuse
Yeah.
me, do not shoot me."
But no, that entire sequence, I really liked that sequence. It was a really good start.
It was very
But-
interesting how we were led to believe that they were going after a
the
spear,
Spear of Destiny.
and obviously it
was
turned
in
out to be a fake.
the thing that cut the
Pierced Christ's side,
Yes.
which Hitler actively did want during the war.
Oh.
Hitler's a nerd.
He's also a Nazi. but
Amongst
yeah,
other things,
Nerd's the one
C1,
that does
yeah.
it.
Amongst other things, he's a Nazi.
Yeah.
But to those who know their World War II and know the occult, Nazis massively obsessed with the occult. Hitler had an entire science division dedicated
Johann
to
Schmidt.
the paranormal, and in that he actively sought the Spear of Destiny, as it's referred to, the one that pierced Christ's side during his crucifixion.
Did he want the Tesseract
Because-
too?
Probably.
Yes. But the Spear of Destiny is said to imbue whoever wields it with immortality and the power to, I think it's bring storms or something like that. It's some
Bunch of bullshit.
biblical
Ooga booga, yeah.
wrath of God shit. But yeah, it's like a big super weapon. Hitler searched for it for literal years and still never got it. Lol.
What a loser.
Evidently because he
Sucker.
is dead and did not get that immortality stick
Yeah.
that he so wished.
Stupid.
No, but I do think it's very interesting that that's what he was looking for, and even more so now that you said that it's he actually was factually looking through it in real life and was
Yeah.
going crazy for it. But that's how we actually get introduced to the Dial as a Mads Mikkelsen, Jürgen Voller being like, this is more important, this is better, and everyone going, don't care, Führer doesn't want that. So
Well, yeah, the Nazi science division, and to go further into Dr. Schmidt, as I'm going to call it, because I'm not going to try and pronounce his full name. I'm going to pronounce his fake name.
Jürgen
I don't even
Voller.
know his real name. I couldn't hear it because the dialogue was
Jürgen.
muffled.
So Jürgen's character is a Nazi that was picked up by the US in a real life operation called Operation Paperclip. So a load of the US government offered the Nazis a chance at sheer immunity from things like the Nuremberg trials if the said Nazi scientists came and worked for NASA or worked on American weapons or military divisions. That is a genuine thing. A lot of the US's rockets are all based on Nazi designs. Which Jurgen's character is in the movie. He is the reason why they get to the moon before the USSR does. And there was lots of talk in the original script for this movie for the Nazis to be using a thing called Die Glocken, which is a mercury-powered engine. This was the Nazis' attempt at a UFO. It used mercury in the engine and apparently could levitate. all the documentation, bar mild, like early blueprints, have been scrubbed from the face of the earth. Everyone that worked on it got hoovered up by the USA. And not a word of it has ever been spoken. The original script included notes towards Die Glocken, that being the capsule that could time travel. But instead, they toned it back and just made him be someone who worked in their space division. The Nazis at one point were trying to make a satellite that could focus the sun's rays as a laser beam to destroy
like some
tanks and
Transformers
Death
stuff.
Star.
Yeah, literally, dude. The Nazis were like nuts. I mean, we all know that, but like, they're like science divisions. Hitler was like,
News to
dude,
me.
build me a magnifying glass in space. I want to set the British on fire.
Spider-Man.
Like, he's
Isn't that just global warming?
Oh my god.
Sounding
Yeah.
like J. Jonah Jameson.
find me pictures of Nazi Spider-Man.
Literally. No, I think a good thing as well regarding this is a lot of media nowadays, hint Marvel, will say that they'll hint at them being a Nazi, but they won't use the word. They won't say Nazi, or they won't have the armband with the swastika. They'll hint at it and they'll be like, oh, this person doesn't like, this race, ooh.
This dude was in full costume.
This dude came out in full Nazi fucking costumes,
Full
armbands, the
Dude,
blade had the
understood the
swastikas
assignment.
on the side.
Dude, he had an Iron Man suiting up briefcase. He opens it and it's there. And like the next shot is like a close up of him wearing his little like black leather hat.
Like
I
Harrison
was
going
very
throughout the
happy.
film, they're Nazis.
I'm very happy.
Oh,
I love when
Dude, the line Harrison delivers of "You should have stayed out of Poland."
yeah.
Ooh.
I did find it funny when Indy turned around and was just like, he's a Nazi, and Helena was
Yeah.
like, and that's a strong word. She was like, I'm sure he's not an actual Nazi, and he was like, no, Nazi. He is a Nazi.
I have a feeling like it wasn't in the script. Like Harrison Ford just turned up and just started calling everyone a Nazi.
I wish that was the case. I think that would make it so much better.
Speaking of Harrison Ford hating Nazis, can we discuss how satisfying watching Harrison Ford punch Nazis for like 2 hours was? Oh my god.
But then people
he
kept
punches
punching
Nazis
him.
I mean, it's
every
a lot
single
of them
film.
punching him.
Yeah, he was getting thrown about. Poor
Poor
bloke.
pensioner.
But like, there's nothing more satisfying in life than watching Harrison Ford punch Nazis, which right-wing Twitter has now begun saying it's offensive that he punches the Nazis.
Wait, they're in support
I
of
didn't see
Nazis.
I'm not joking.
They don't like
This is-
seeing Nazis get punched. Are you kidding me?
people being like, it's like, because the whole thing like it's the all-time like satisfying like thwack sound effect that they always put in. There's been people on Twitter being like, oh, it's really satisfying, it's great to see Indy back, like, sucking Nazis in the face. And people have been like, they're just misunderstood right-wingers.
Nazis! Nazis! Nazis!
Nazis! There's the armband! They're in
You're
like,
just-
the black leather!
You're just confirming you're a Nazi yourself.
No, guys, they are misunderstood right wingers. you must understand. Also, these Nazis are proper evil because they didn't watch Ice Age 4, so they had no idea about continental drift.
I don't even know how to reply to this. I don't even know where
He's
to
correct.
go from this.
So like,
So I'm just going to move on to a different point. I
Nobody's
wanna-
got
no,
no,
'cause it-
but
no,
Joe's
no,
got a
'cause-
point.
so like,
No, he doesn't.
Because when
They
they're
should have
about to-
watched it.
So, but the premise, basically, they're gonna go in the past for a time fissure that's opened up, which Archimedes' dial can predict. And then Harrison Ford's literally like, you don't know about continental drift. And they're like, shut up, and they start punching him and pummeling him, like biffing him on the nose. Like, as soon as they said about continental drift, I knew what my letterbox review was.
I just loved that.
My
Ford
first thought
started
was Ice
laughing.
Age.
Indy was sat in the back just cackling. He was like, it was like he didn't even give a shit what happened to him at that point. But he was like, the Nazis are gonna crash and burn.
Yeah, the Nazis legit died because they didn't watch Ice Age 4. That's
Okay,
that's
well,
canon.
that's not the takeaway we're taking away from this.
Speaking of the Nazis dying, every Indiana Jones movie is like Nazis that have gone out in such horrific fashions, so horrifically satisfying.
I
fashions.
love to see
And
Nazis'
this was
faces
no
melt
different.
off.
The Lost Ark
Yeah, yeah.
being peak for that.
Like the Raiders of the Lost Ark. Then Muller-Ram's not exactly a Nazi in that, but he holds some similar ideologies in
Close
Temple of Doom.
enough.
But in Last Crusade, they have a Nazi drive off a cliff in a tank, and they zoom in on his face as he goes down, going, "Ah!" and then fucking explode. This is no different. We get the zoom in of Boyd Holbrook's face, and Max Nicholson's face.
They are
and
crying.
They are coping and seething as they.
And then
As
you
their
see his
plane
face
goes
burnt
down.
off.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my god,
This-
it's beautiful. I love it.
This bloke should have had, as you were saying, someone a dent in his head though, because he got
No,
hit
Hamish said
so
that.
hard on that train. Oh, was
Yeah,
it?
no,
Sorry, Hamish.
He's missing a James Bond scar.
He needs a massive scar. It'd be
I feel like
cool,
it would
though.
have been better if he did have some kind of dent
Yeah.
on the side of his head, or some kind of like scar, or you know.
Because I saw that and I fully just went, oh my god. And then
Oh,
he comes in
we
New
did.
York 20 years later and he's fine. I'm like, excuse me?
Me and Hamish like jumped in our seats when he got hit. There was,
It was
a
a
lot of
thwack.
points in that film where somebody got hit so hard. Me and Hamish just both jumped in our seats and were just like, "Oh, that's gonna leave a mark,"
And then
Yeah,
it
like the
didn't.
big-
and then it
It
didn't.
just leaves him with greasy grey hair. That's all it does.
Oh,
The big strong fucking henchman.
he
was
was
huge.
terrifying.
He was scary. But like when that man punched something, you were like, yeah, no, they're not getting up. No, they're dead. They're gone.
He looked like Luther in the Umbrella Academy.
I thought he was
my
the
God,
same
Idris
guy for a
Elba-
second.
No, you haven't
Did you
seen
just
Umbrella
say Idris
Academy.
Elba?
He's Luther.
He hasn't seen Umbrella Academy.
I was
No,
gonna say.
because it's not raining.
Yeah. I thought that was like good. I do want to say as well, especially at the beginning where we see, you know, Indy sees his work colleagues being murdered, and normally back in day, young Indiana Jones would have probably gotten a gun, gotten a whip, and gone to town. But old Indy here is scared. You know, he rings the police. He's trying to escape. He's trying to get help. You know, it really does a telling on like where his character is at the start of the film and how destroyed he is, and how like this is no longer the Indiana Jones. You know, this is Professor Jones.
It was
In-
really
in a
sad to see the
sense.
class and nobody was like much interested.
Yeah, it really does put into perspective how depressing his life had gotten, especially after the divorce with Marion, or you know, the divorce was going through at that time.
It is so thoroughly heartbreaking to like see from like the original Indiana Jones where people were like hooked on his every word in his classes to like this. And also that's probably because they wanted to fuck him.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
they,
Like,
you had the girl with the
it's-
writing on her eyes, didn't you?
Yeah.
I don't blame him.
Characters that have aged perfectly. Salah.
Oh,
Oh
he
my
is
God.
Gimli.
aged wonderfully.
Oh yeah,
I
Joe.
I love him so much. No harm shall come to that man. And honestly, every time I watched the trailer and I heard him yell, "Give them hell, Indiana Jones," I got chills.
We
There's
nearly
something
really
cried.
sweet.
special
We
about
nearly
that.
cried when he started going on saying how he missed the desert.
Yeah, and he brought his passport and shit. I was like, let him go with you. Let him go with you. Let him have his adventure.
I do find it odd how he, because at the end you have Harrison Ford and he's with Marion, and they do that. They recreate that scene from Raiders of the Lost Ark when they kiss on their bits.
That was sweet.
Yeah,
I
and then Salah comes up,
Yeah.
but I thought that he was going to stay in the room like a nice reunion, but he just comes up
Bit of
and
a third
leaves. Yeah, I thought he'd
I think
stay with
it's
them.
because he realizes that the two of them needed their moment to kind of figure stuff out, and I think in if we were gonna get a Marvel style post credit scene, thank God we didn't. It would have shown the three of them together, probably. I don't know, getting shawarma. Who knows? I do want to circle back to your Lego point because I want to tell you exactly.
Oh yeah,
what
which
scene
was
it is.
yours?
It was in the offices when they were getting chased around through the kind of the archive office, and Indy was like running down the stairs and Helena was going across the roof. I was sat there like, this would be such a good Lego level. I don't know
It was
why.
it was like a split screen sort of thing.
It's like a split screen kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that
Nah,
would
that
have
would.
been funny.
I saw the, their little intro with Raheem.
Oh my
Whenever
God,
they're
Raheem.
Raheem is talking about to Helena about how he loves her, because there's no words ever said in little Lego games. I have this image in my head of Raheem, like you see the little hearts above his head. You know,
He pulls out like a Lego bouquet from behind his back. He's on his
and
knees.
she just smiles and shakes her head, and he goes, like shakes his fist.
I love Raheem.
Like you can see it in your head, can't you? It like.
Justice for Raheem.
This needs to be a Lego game, quick.
Speaking of Raheem's scene, side note, fucking love Raheem. One of the like
Little Raheem.
little
Not
Raheem
Big
and
Raheem.
Big Raheem.
Big Raheem's his dad.
Brilliant little gag. But I do think the car chase was a little too long, in my opinion.
Yeah.
If there's areas to cut down on, it would be that car chase.
I thought the car chase was a very good length. I thought it had a lot of little bits where, especially when Teddy and Helena were saying, you need to turn this way, you need to turn this way, and Indy just went the opposite way. You know, because it's clear he knew these streets. He's been there a million times. He kind of just went a different route and just ignored them, either out of old man spite or just for the hell of it. I like to think it was more Harrison old man spite. You know, ignore the young'uns, I'm going my own way. But the entire car chase, I thought it was a good length. I thought it was a fun length. I was engaged throughout the entire thing. But that might have just been me.
I think all in all, though, like, it's a bloody good movie.
They killed
Helena
Antonio
did
Banderas though.
That
Yeah,
made
he
me
was
very
kind of
sad.
wasted.
That made me very, very
He,
sad.
he was in it for a cameo. He said in all the marketing, he said he was in it for a cameo. Helena gets her, shut upness stuffed in there, because for a good bit of the movie, I find she is annoyingly like self-centered, and that is part of her character. I am not meant to like that, and I understand that. It's just I do want to like kick her in the fucking teeth sometimes. But Indy does give her a bit of a shake after he dies, when they're sailing away. She's like, how great was that? And he goes like, my friend has just died.
His friend
Why?
and his friend's entire crew.
Yeah.
As well as he's still getting over the deaths of the people that he worked with.
Yeah. That eel sequence.
I found
was
it so
terrifying.
funny. I found it so funny when she turned around and said, yeah, they're like snakes but in water. And you just see Indy's face go, snakes! Snakes!
Yeah.
That was funny.
I thought that was brilliant.
But like, they're terrifying in
They
that
are.
movie. Like conger eels as well. It does them justice. They're scary fucking things. Like one of them can kill a diver.
I didn't know they were
And the
real.
fact that
Joe,
Oh,
please
no.
tell me you're
Dude.
joking.
No,
Please
I know
tell me you're
eels are
joking.
real, but I didn't know they're
Oh,
like
okay.
you get these like really
conger,
nasty
moray.
ones.
Yeah, 2
So,
meters
Joe,
more.
You know xenomorphs.
Yes.
It's a hop
So
skip.
those jaws are based on those eels, because inside those eels is a tiny mouth. So whenever they bite down, the jaw unhinges so it locks in place, and a second tiny mouth begins to eat what's inside.
This is another reason I don't like the ocean.
That's
What
terrible.
the fuck?
For context of listeners, me and Hamish are just watching Joe and Suan's face right now, and they look mortified. They look
That's
absolutely
terrible.
mortified by that, and I
my
think
God.
it's brilliant.
Disgusting.
Yeah. Oh, they're morays, those ones.
I do like
Yeah.
that they sort of changed up the thing of not just having a snake in this film. No, it's just eels that look like snakes.
How about water snake?
I thought that when Indy started talking about he knows somebody who's got a boat, I was trying to, my mind for some reason, right, immediately jumped to Willie Scott from Temple of Doom, because for some reason she just seems the type of character to have a big boat in Greece,
God, she is.
and I don't know why, but that would have been so funny to me. But I'm also
It would have been
so
hilarious.
happy with what we got. I'm also really happy with what we got already.
I've just sent Joe a diagram of
It's
a moray
horrible.
eel's inner jaw.
That's
are nasty.
amore.
Yeah, sorry. Continue.
That's
amore.
If I'm like moments away from death, like I'm surrounded by loads of these eels, I'll be like, "That's amore," and then I'll just fucking die.
And die. Yeah,
I'll
they start
die.
like eating your flesh.
You can put that on my grave. That's amore.
So going on to like the set design specifically as well, because Indy's very big for its practical sets and its, its stunts, especially in Temple of Doom, which I think we can all agree has some of the most impressive practical sets out of the Indiana Jones
Temple
films.
of Doom, my beloved.
Honestly, that film is like one of my favorites, only for Short Round and the sets. Everything else about it is a bit mid to
Willie
me, but
is annoying.
Willie is so annoying.
Willie's
She makes that
annoying.
But the
film
thing is,
Watchable.
I do love that the actress herself has said she hates it because she just kept screaming.
Yeah, that
that's
poor
what she
woman,
does.
That poor woman.
She
must
has
have
said
gone through
herself.
it.
She has said herself she hates Willie because she just kept screaming, and I love her for that.
The set design for this entire film was incredible, especially when they were going through, in Greece, going through Dionysus's cave and
That
exploring.
echo thing was so cool.
The echo thing was so interesting.
I'd
nice
love
to
to
see
go
the two
there.
of them joke together as well.
Yeah, he just went with it.
He just went with it, and I found that really cute. You can tell that like they knew each other previously before this big adventure as well, just off that interaction alone.
Missed opportunity for him to go bum ba bum bum.
If they had
And then
done
she goes,
that, I would have
bum,
left.
ba-bum.
I would have
What
left.
were they singing?
No, they're saying ba 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 bum. There's
To be
like
fair,
noises.
if
no,
they'd
they-
have done
it
that,
was-
I'd
it
have
was a
given it an
tune.
extra star.
Yeah,
No,
it's an
it
old
was- it
classical
sound like a-
song.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, it is a song.
Hamish. Yeah.
Because I was
If
gonna
they-
say there was a
I thought it was just them making a sound that sounded like a tune, but it wasn't.
No,
a
it's
tune.
an actual
'Cause
tune.
they're just going
Yeah, it's an
ba
actual
ba ba ba
song.
bum.
Wasn't it?
I
Ba
s-
ba ba ba?
Yeah.
Why are we debating what the fuck?
I don't know the name of it, the song.
Is
I
it
do know
Beethoven's
is an actual
Fifth?
song,
No,
though. Oh, Joe's coming out with "Is it Beethoven's Fifth? Hang on, let me.
the-
I think it was his
Oh, is it the song from Little Big Planet 2?
Joe.
A Fifth of Beethoven.
You know what? I think it's that.
Yeah, it has to be.
Hang on, I'm double checking if it's Beethoven's Fifth. And if it is, Joe can say it again, being like, "Well, actually, it's Beethoven's Fifth.
You can edit it.
It's Beethoven's Fifth. It's
Okay,
Beethoven's
go,
Fifth."
Joe, go.
Actually, it's Beethoven's Fifth.
That is so insightful,
Oh, shut up, Joe.
Thank you so much for letting us know.
That's alright.
You music nerd.
I'm
Can't
good for
believe
some
you got
stuff.
that right.
About the trailer, I remember me and you were saying, Hamish, that we thought it gave too much away and it was pretty long. But I didn't. There was a lot of stuff in this that just wasn't in the trailer, like the stuff underwater. I didn't know there was an
Yeah.
underwater sequence. Like the whole
I did.
third act, surprisingly, isn't in it. There's a lot of stuff that isn't in the trailer.
That's good. That is very good.
Yeah.
That is very,
And, like,
very
even-
good. I did stay
even-
away from the trailers for this one. 'Cause I
Even
was
the
scared
big game
of that.
spot, that had sort of fake footage. It had them like jumping out the plane with like loads of dark clouds around them. But in this, of course, it's them in the past. Was it 907 AD or was it 200?
214 BC.
214 BC.
Well done, Swan.
I don't know why I remember that date. I just remember him
Outdoing
saying
the
it.
Doctor Who fan at history. Well done.
Was everybody else really scared when, Indy was dying back in the ancient period and
I'm so glad she punched him.
I am so glad she punched him. I
I'm
was scared
sorry,
that
that would have
the
been
way
a
they were gonna
shit ending.
the way
if
they were
he'd have
going to
stayed.
explain, like, oh, Indy's not going to be coming back because he actually died in the past. Like, I was so scared that's what they were going to do, but thankfully they didn't. She did an Indiana Jones move. She
I'm
punched
so
him
glad.
and brought him back.
I'm gonna get on to the leaked endings from the rewrites. It's just like The Flash. This has multiple endings to it, none of which, thankfully, were filmed. In one version of the script, they were going to be going back in time to what I assume was the train sequence at the start and trying to stop the Dial of Destiny falling into the Nazis' hands. And during this sequence, old Indiana Jones would have come across young Indiana Jones, and just like the temporal paradox that sounds like, Indiana Jones would have ceased to exist, removed from the timeline. This was written very early into the movie's development, again during the concept art stages, and when he is removed from the timeline, Helena was going to be picking up the mantle, and becoming the new Indiana Jones. However, since then, it's very clear that there's been some restructuring at Lucasfilm. There's been some quite heavy rewrites and corporate hands going, maybe don't. And thankfully, they maybe didn't.
I
Was
know
that
you
the
said
only
there was
ending that
proof. I know you said there was like concept art, but I still don't believe that thought crossed their mind of erasing Indiana Jones.
No. So the people that have been leaking this, his coverage on the build up to it included insider set images and such. He was really good for it. Again, don't fully agree with what he says.
Sounds like
but
an idiot
the
to
guy,
me.
the guy comes out with some pretty good reports on movies.
Is there anything else anyone wants to mention about this film?
The as you said before, this is the first film that's not directed by Spielberg. I thought there'd be a big like sort of visual difference. I think James Mangold kind of captures the magic of Spielberg quite well. I think my only issue is that sometimes it's quite dark. Like when Indy's on the bike with the Nazi with the sidecar going down towards the train, that was quite hard to see. There might have been a bit underwater that was hard to see. Also, the film's not very funny. Like, a lot of the Indiana Jones films were quite funny, and I didn't find myself going, huh. Like, even a huh with this one. There was a funny scream from Toby Jones at the beginning where he's like, ah! And that was funny, but that's just Toby Jones. I don't know.
I disagree. I thought there was a lot of funny things. I found myself laughing a lot throughout this film.
Harrison had a lot of little one-liners that I, had a little chuckle at. But
Yeah, I had a lot of chuckle throughout it. I mean, most of the time I was jumping at how hard some of the people were getting hit. The train scene, for example. Like, Jesus Christ. I think the train scene is probably my favorite kind of like thing of the whole film. I mean, I was laughing a lot during the train scene. There was, whenever he tried and blend in with the Nazis, and that, they realized his costume had bullet holes in it, so they were like, okay, well, clearly something's wrong here. And then he just started running. I was laughing a lot at that bit, but I can see where you're coming from. It's not as humor, packed.
Yeah,
as
I'm
the
not saying
previous
that
films.
there was nothing funny in it, but as a whole, it was not as light-hearted as the others.
Yeah.
Also, as Music Man, I liked Helena's theme, or Helena's theme, how do you say her name? Because that was new for this film. But apart from that, nothing really stood out to me. Like, John Williams was great, but for this, I didn't get much from it. I am surprised they didn't lean more into the space stuff, because there's a lot of that in the beginning. Like, you've got the kid on the train in the spacesuit, and you've got Schmidt's past with rockets. I'm surprised it wasn't based around like a rocket they were building or something.
Well,
The film did focus on like Archimedes' technological knowledge. I don't
Yeah.
know whether this is me reaching. I think it is, but it talked a lot about like technology moving forward, and the vast kind of jump from like each era that they were going through, especially during the 20th century. So I don't know whether it was like showing how Indy was in a world where people are now landing on the moon and he's still digging in the dirt for artifacts, whether or not that was something that was kind of interesting.
That's a good point.
I do agree with that. There is also a blink and you'll miss it line from Jurgen, where he talks about when he's going back to kill Hitler. He also talks about perfecting their V1 rocket, which was the Nazis' first attempt at a missile.
Oh.
Yeah, I heard that in the film, and I thought, because I found it quite hard to hear sometimes, and I thought they were going to go back and build a rocket, and then when they go back, like, oh wait, they're not.
how about
There was the Nazis were dangerously close to actually making an intercontinental missile called the V1, but they never got it completed. So the idea was that he's going to go back, kill Hitler, replace Hitler, and use his knowledge to perfect the V1 rocket, and effectively bomb stuff from Germany without fail.
As a side note, his plan to go back in time and kill Hitler and become the new Führer is brilliant. You know, most of
It
the time
is.
it would be, I'm going to go back and I'm going to tell Hitler all of these things and Hitler's going to win us the war. But, like, it was very clear that Jurgen's character realised that Hitler was a real fraud and a terrible leader. You know, he what was it? He locked himself in his bunker and killed himself instead of, like, manning it out and fighting out with the rest of his country to the end of the war.
Pussy.
Yeah. You know, Hitler was a terrible, terrible leader. Never mind all of the other stuff he did.
So
You know?
Hitler was, according to C1, a nerd and a pussy.
She is.
But doesn't matter about all the other stuff. He was a nerd and a pussy.
Guys, hot take, but Hitler's a bit mid.
I wouldn't even call him mid. Let's not even
The shit on the bottom of our
that
shoes.
bit.
Only the hottest takes on the Filmian podcast.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I just loved it that, you know, he was like, I'm gonna go back and kill Hitler and take his place. It's just like,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
brilliant.
It's very
I
clever.
wish they'd actually gone ahead with that, because as cool as the stuff with Archimedes was, going back to Berlin in the past and saying hello to Hitler.
It feels like it's like the Kingsman end credit scene.
Oh god, yeah. Setting up like a fucking Hitler villain
loved
was
that.
shit.
We
I
had
loved it.
Hitler in Last Crusade because he signed
He signed the
Indiana's
book, yeah.
book. But I don't know, because
Tag.
Good luck. What are your thoughts on the time travel? Because
thought
I
it
know
was
that when they
brilliant.
first brought it up, C1 turns to me and was like, they're not doing time
not gonna do
travel, are they?
See, this is what I don't like. Anybody who turns around and says, Indiana Jones doesn't have time travel. We had a box in the first film that vaporized a bunch of people. Like, come on. There were aliens in the fourth.
We did say on the way in, Joe, that both of us said, yeah, they did melt off a bunch of Nazis' face in the first one. I wouldn't be surprised. It's not that I don't think it's possible. It was just not how I thought the film would go.
Yeah.
I'm not past the second movie when there's a guy that can just take your heart out, or by speaking a few words, Indy sets some stones on fire.
Oh, yeah.
Like, Indiana Jones is not, like... It's not realistic, is it?
No, what it does is it takes like ancient myths or like your kind of cryptids kind of stuff, all these like lost artifacts that are meant to hold some like absurd power, and it takes us into that realm of fantasy and it makes them real.
Has a giggle with them.
Like, yeah, exactly. The crystal skulls belong to interdimensional beings.
Where's Dan
What the
Aykroyd when you need him?
I saw
Where's that?
I saw an interview with
You're about to think of the same thing that I'm.
what's his name? Steven Spielberg,
Spielberg.
and he was talking about how George Lucas was saying, they're not aliens, they're interdimensional beings. And Steven Spielberg asked him, "What do you want them to look like?" And he says, "Aliens."
Yeah, do you want to know why?
Why?
George Lucas came out with that? Because Steven Spielberg was refusing to do Aliens.
Yeah.
He absolutely refused to do Aliens, which is the big thing behind the Crystal Skull mythos. And George Lucas was like, they're interdimensional beings. Got Spielberg to sign on. Got him right to the end. And he was like, what do you want them to look like? And he went,
Aliens.
Aliens. And they're going to have a big flying saucer that's going to fly into the sky and off into space.
I respect
Like
the move.
aliens.
I respect it. That is a way to get your friend to do a fucking film.
I don't know how I feel about the time travel. I don't think it's as offensive as the aliens. I thought that was weird.
No, I think this was a lot more respectable than the aliens. I think this was still, like, time travel's more believable than aliens at this point in the Indiana Jones
Dude,
universe.
I love the fact the Nazis, whenever they realized like they were fucking stuck there, just started opening fire on the soldiers, like the Roman and Greeks. Just like, what is it? Boyd Holbrook's character just rips the plane door open with a Luger in one hand and just begins dumping bullets into them.
Yeah.
Poor little Romans and Greeks.
I think it
Little
is fitting
Romans.
for Indiana Jones, who is an archaeologist, to go into the past. I think that thematically is very nice.
I think as a final, like, his final adventure, he gets to see one of his, like, you know, his life's work in person. I think that's a nice
Yeah.
kind of... I thought that was very touching. I thought the time travel was done very tastefully. It could have been done so much worse. But I think the idea of Archimedes creating, it's not like we come to find out he didn't truly kind of come up with the idea of his own, or some weird time paradox. I don't even want to think about that right now.
Well, no, yeah, he doesn't know that it works until they come back, and then he fully assembles the mechanism.
Yeah, so it's like that's a whole, bucket of worms.
I do like the time loop of like the watch keeps going forward and backward in time. In the it's with Archimedes' body, then Jurgen takes it in the past, then Archimedes takes it, and it's buried with him, and it just keeps on going. That's quite cool.
I thought that when me and Hamish saw that, we both kind of just looked at each other like, oh my god. Like, they've actually done some weird sort of time loop thing. Holy shit.
I think, I think maybe I'm not sure of it because it was brief. I think maybe I would prefer it if they sort of explored it a bit more.
What, the entire time travel bit?
Yeah, it didn't seem like a third act. It seemed like the last bit of a third act. It's I think same with Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. Those aliens are right at the end. It's so brief.
Yeah, the aliens are incredibly brief at the end. But no, I feel like for me the third act started when, Jurgen put on the Nazi costume. That's when the third act like kicked off for me, at least.
It's when he suits up.
Oh my god, no, Hamish.
No! I
So
did
the
like
Nazi
Helena
suits
riding
up.
the bike in the rain though. Like I literally looked
That
up
was
at that. I was like,
great.
oh, that looks so
That was
good.
cool. That
Also,
was
when
really
she
cool.
started, like, I thought a very small detail, but like the rain's hitting her in the face. She starts going forward and then starts
like-
going backwards because she's like, I can't actually see anything. I thought
Yeah.
that was cute and also
That was a
like
cool
realistic.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Does anyone have any final words before we rate the film?
I have a
Oh
question.
no.
Now, for myself personally, this has fallen into my top 3 Indiana Jones movies.
Same here.
Mine being Last Crusade, Temple of Doom, and then Dial.
Oh.
I don't know how much you guys care about Indiana Jones, but where are you ranking it out of 5?
It would be 4. So Last Crusade, Raiders, Temple of Doom, Dial of Destiny, Kingdom of the Crystal Skull.
Oh my god, same.
Oh, lovely.
Oh.
I respect it. But so this is gonna hurt. I would rate Raiders of the Lost Ark, Kingdom of the Crystal Skull,
Wait, what? Wait, what?
then the Dial of Destiny, then the Last Crusade, and then the Temple of Doom.
What? That's a first. I'll give it to you. That's
Oh,
a
Joe's
first.
gone. Joe's gone.
walked away.
Joe's walked away
Joe's
from the
walked
mic.
away from the mic.
That's a first. I'll give it to you.
I love all of them. I think the reason Crystal Skull is a second is nostalgia, and also I love Mutt's character so much. Oh, Joe's gone again.
Shia LaBeouf, though.
I know, but it's like the same reason why I love Sam Witwicky in the Bayverse like Transformers films.
No.
I hate the actor, but I love the characters he plays.
I think because I just gave my top 3. Kingdom of the Crystal Skull is unfortunately maybe above Raiders. I think Raiders.
I disagree with
What's going
that.
on here?
No. Oh, okay, let me explain. Right. So when I was in primary school, Raiders came out. Not Raiders. Fuck.
Wait,
Going
it came
to
out
say
when you were primary
Hamish.
school. How old are you, Hamish?
Kingdom of the Crystal Skull.
And C1 grew up with Harrison Ford,
And-
so, you know.
I
around.
had absolutely no idea what Indiana Jones was. I came into school one day and I had loads of kids who had just discovered what Indiana Jones was yelling at me being like, because we came to lunchtime, they're like, oh, do you want to play like the guy with the plane at the start of the movie who like picks in the, yeah, you can be the plane guy. And I was like, huh?
Oh.
And my first introduction to Indiana Jones was Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. I got the comic of it, which my parents really shouldn't have bought me because there was the scene when the guy is eaten by the fire ants is so much more graphic when it's on the page and you can't turn the page because your eyes are glued to it and you're like, oh my god, he's being eaten alive by ants. It's not like a movie when it passes on. That's like cemented in my mind. I think Raiders is infinitely a better film, but I just don't have as strong memories of Raiders. still remember seeing Raiders for the first time. I don't think I've ever like been so. I just don't feel like a kid when I watch Raiders. If you get me, I feel like a kid when I watch Kingdom.
That's fair.
Because it reminds me of when I saw it as a kid.
That's similar
fair.
to the, like, as to why it's so high up on my list. But I think Raiders has to be my favorite because I love Marion so much. Marion is in all three of my top my top three films. Like, I love her character so much, and in Raiders, I thought she was brilliant.
It's also got
Sounds
a monkey
great.
that does a Hitler salute.
Oh, that monkey's so funny, funny little monkey. I love
But
it
then he dies. Monkey dies.
because he's a Nazi.
A Nazi
But
monkey.
he has bad dates.
They just taught the monkey wrong.
To quote Salah, bad dates.
Careful, you're sounding
But,
like right wing Twitter here.
A monkey's a bit different than a person, isn't it?
What I think we should do is I think that we should put
Punch
our...
the monkey. Punch the Nazi monkey.
Punch the Nazi monkey. What I think we should do is we'll put up on Twitter or social medias or something, probably Twitter, if you can view it and you don't exceed your
Yeah, I
limit.
can't.
We'll put up all four of ours top five, our rankings of the 5 Indiana Jones films, and we'll see what people say. So, okay, let's do a rating again, just to see if after this discussion anyone's score has moved. I don't think it has, but Joe,
I think it's still a 6 out of 10. I would be willing to rewatch it because it's the sort of thing like if you know going into it what you're gonna watch, then maybe it will improve. Like I can appreciate the smaller details. I think the film is fine. It's fine. I'd happily play it as a Lego game. That's my big takeaway. But yeah, it was fine.
good. Suwan, has yours changed?
No, I still a 6, but I agree with Joe. And like you to be fair, you two have like, I think of it higher now in my head because of what you two have said, but it's still, from what I remember, a good 6. And it's not like it's a bad film. But yeah, I'd rewatch it.
Hamish?
Happily rewatch it. Staying at 8.
I'm gonna go with a solid 8.5, and I would rewatch it again.
In a heartbeat.
I realized after doing my review on Letterboxd, I preferred The Flash.
Shame on you, Joseph.
I'm gonna be ridiculed now.
For shame.
I had more fun with that.
Well, that's what films are about. It's about fun.
Yeah.
That's why Batman is my favourite film of all time. Me and Hamish once did a drinking game to the Indiana Jones films, and I remember one of them was finish your drink whenever the map thing came up, the map scene. Of
I
the
loved
church.
seeing the map. When the
loved
map
it.
turned up, I was like, oh my god, the map.
Fucking Dora the Explorer fan, the map! Well, that's a good point to end off, I think. So, I think now is the time for recommendations. Who has a recommendation? Who would like to recommend something to the people? Suwan, you have your hand raised. Do go forth.
Right, thank you, my liege. We were yes, last night we watched a film, and it has actually been talked about by Joe and Xander like a couple of weeks ago on this, but I would also, like to put it forth as a recommendation. It's called 12 Angry Men. It's a film from like 1957, I think, and it's basically what it's called. It's 12 Angry Men. They're in a room, and it's kind of like they're doing jury duty, and then they're trying to figure out how to like what to do with this kid. So it's like genuinely just like an hour and a half of 12 angry men in a room, but it's like really fucking good, and it's really engaging, and you like see all these dudes and them, how they're trying to go through with like sentencing this kid for the crime. It was very, very engaging, very good film. Like Joe said last night, don't let the black and white put you off. I would very much suggest it's a very good film. So yeah, 12 Angry Men.
I have heard of it. I've never gotten round to watching it. It's on my list. I'll bump it up.
Highly suggest.
I'll bump it up to the top now.
Yay.
Anybody want to go next? Joe, you're smiling a lot. Go on.
I'm just smiling at Sion's suggestion. So I can scratch off 12 Angry Men from my one this week.
Sorry.
I've got two. One's a smart one. One's a dumb one.
Give us both. Give us the dumb one first and then the smart one.
I would genuinely recommend everyone to watch the first Madagascar film. It's currently on
I
Amazon
agree.
Prime. Xander ridiculed me for giving it 5 stars on Letterboxd, but this is genuinely a perfect film. Like, this is funny. You've got the penguins of Madagascar. This is the greatest side plot
Smiling
ever.
wave.
They get to Antarctica, and they're like, "Nah, this sucks. We'll go to Madagascar." And that is so funny. You've got King Julian. You've got Alex canonically being a cam girl and eating ass in this film. You've got this is a horny film. There are monkeys. There's a giraffe who's like sort of kink, like obsessed with like doctor stuff. That's their kink. The hippo is built.
What Madagascar did you watch?
When was Alex the lion a cam? I thought you were referring to me, and I was about to say, "Excuse me."
No,
Have you watched Madagascar?
Madagascar.
Or like some sort of XX like rated version?
I do agree, though. It is a peak film. It is peak.
Yeah, it's very good.
It's a throwaway line that Joe just literally just went, "Oh my god, he's cam
No,
girl."
because Alex Line talks about how, oh yeah, I go on the live cam and I perform, and I'm just like, Alex is a cam girl.
That is true.
I would not watch that though because that's weird. My serious recommendation is.
I thought that was a serious one.
Well, oh no, that is serious as well. You should definitely watch it. But my serious one, main one, is Brain Dead, which is a film. It's one of Peter Jackson's first films, and basically, it is a zombie film, but it's a very gory and comedic zombie film. Like the first
A lot of blood.
30 minutes, me and Simon were like, should we turn this off? This might be a bad Xander recommendation, because he told us to watch it, and we almost turned it off. And then it all just kicked off. It really kicks off at like the half-hour mark. There's so much blood and gore and silliness and just some of the greatest bits of like zombie media out there. So if you haven't seen Brain Dead, go watch it. It's on YouTube, the whole thing for free, in HD and all that jazz. So go watch it. It's genuinely very good and entertaining.
Damn.
Yes.
So, Hamish.
My recommendation is going to stay on the Nazi killing vibes.
Oh my god.
I'm going to recommend one of my favorite movies out there, which is on our top 10 movie lists, which I think we're going to be discussing in the future. It is called Fury, and it's from 2014. It stars Brad Pitt, Michael Pena, or Pena. I'm going to
Pena.
second
Pena.
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 Pena. Logan Lerman and John Berthnell and Shia LaBeouf.
I was going to say, you're
in it.
forgetting Shia.
I'm forgetting
Shia,
Shia.
my beloved.
It is one of my favorite movies. It's about a conscript who is forced into to replace a dead tank crewman during the very end of World War II. It does not hold back from showing just exactly what went on in World War II, but it also kind of shows that kind of bond that like people form in these desperate situations. I absolutely adore this movie. I rewatch clips of it all the time. I used some of its audio for one of my university projects. Please go watch it. It's awesome. If you like watching like tanks blowing shit up, Brad Pitt shooting Nazis, like what more do you want, really?
Yeah. He's in a lot of Nazi killing films, isn't he? I've noticed.
He is Inglourious Bastards.
That's a very peak film. I thought that's what you were talking
It
about
is.
at first.
No. Fury. All the way.
Great. So I'm going to stick on the theme of time travel for mine, and I'm going to talk about the film Orlando, featuring Tilda Swinton, which is the tale of a young duke in the Elizabethan era called Orlando, who is blessed with immortality by Queen Elizabeth before she dies. And it follows his life through, through all the years, through all the centuries, up until the Georgian era, where he goes on as a Middle Eastern ambassador for Britain, wakes up one morning and is a woman. So then, at that point, she has to come back home. She has to realize how sexist she's been her entire life. You know, she's like, actually, women do actually kind of had it hard. Realizing that she's going to lose her entire property because, you know, only men can own houses and the such. And it just follows her story throughout all of the centuries up until the modern day. Now, it's a really weird film. It's one of those films that doesn't have a lot of dialogue. Very, very little dialogue.
Oh, that's good
It's
for me.
mainly showed in the costumes by Sandy Powell, the set design, and just the main shots. There's a very famous scene of Orlando running through a garden in a big Georgian attire, escaping a man that's trying to marry her. So, I would give it a big watch. You do have to put a lot of thought into it when watching it, but it's I got to study it for my university course, and I had to do a review on it, and it's genuinely one of those films I would happily go back and rewatch. So, also Tilda Swinton's fit. So I think there's just that. So yeah.
Nice.
Awesome.
So I
Nice.
think that's going to wrap it up for this week. Joe, start off. Tell the lovely people where they can find you.
Hi everyone. You can find me on Twitter at Cook11Joseph. Well, you might see my tweets unless this 600 tweet thing comes in. Or it has come in. What am I saying? You can find me on Instagram, Joe Cook _digital artist, where you'll find my artwork. And you can find me on YouTube at Rebel Hoovian.
Very good. Suwan.
There's my Instagram and my Twitter where I don't post much on either at C101, and then my letterbox is C1Os where I try to be funny.
And succeed.
I think you succeed.
Oh, thank you.
Funny looking. Hey, Hamish.
Hey, someone's weird.
You can find me on Instagram at Hamish2864. The numbers don't mean anything. It's just numbers that I came up with. And you can also find me in your walls if you've not taken your medication.
Hamish, I'm a weak
I am-
cold.
Oh, yeah, shit. I said that last time I was on the podcast. I completely forgot. I'm in your walls.
Yeah, and you can find me nowhere. I am nowhere. I'm not even following the official podcast Twitter account that I will now be taking over. So you can find us on Twitter at FilmTheImpod1, subject to change, because that's a terrible username. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm joking. What is our Instagram? I can't remember it.
The official Film Me and Pod.
And our Instagram at the official Filmy Pod. So yeah, thank you for listening.
Wow.
See you guys.
Sayonara.
Goodbye. I didn't know how to end it.